Recording is now in progress. This is Andrew Williams Jr., Reamus Muhammad, and today is September 20th, 2025. With our special guest today, Lisa Anise Septon, and this is the Awesome Intelligence Team, Team LEV AI Network. LEV is short for leverage, so we're going to leverage AI. This is what we do. I'm Andrew Williams Jr. Instagram me at Ambassador AWJ. Go to my website, getlev.ai, Andrew Networks, or contact Reamus Muhammad. IG is Excellence Management. And his Get Lev AI number is 1313590. So you can click any of those links and get directly to us. I'm going to open the floor, and here we are with my brother, Reamus Muhammad.
All right. Good morning. Good morning for some of us in the West Coast here. Good afternoon for everybody else. Good evening if you're over there in, say, Japan, let's just say. Yeah, man, a lot going on. So, again, just so everybody understands as we're evolving this thing over the last couple of weeks here, this awesome intelligence, what is awesome intelligence? Where does this come from? Well, this, first of all, it was a brainchild of myself, Andrew, being that he and I are connected. He's been doing what he's doing for a long time, i.e. now here we have Lisa's joining us, and a lot of great people are coming into this space because of Andrew, obviously. And so we decided to go ahead and provide a support for LEV AI, really, a support for the individuals that are embracing this LEV AI, which in of itself is 2 days old as far as having launched. Well, I take that back. I said that yesterday, so it's 3 days old. So, and when we get to Monday, we will launch into the rest of the world, meaning outside of Canada and the United States. We launched 3 days ago in the United States. So there's the question that's going to be a big question moving forward in people's minds as this thing adopts itself and it gets adapted all over the earth. What is LEV AI? And then you'd have to understand the ownership. You'd have to understand LaCour. You'd have to understand Randy Schrader. You'd have to understand Blake, the CEO. And that's a part of our presentations every day. We just had one this morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll have another one at 6 p.m. And I believe there'll be a training today. I haven't heard what time, because if it is a training today, it'll be the third training, because there's been a training that Randy has been spearheading, Randy Schrader, who is the #1 distributor, meaning he's the first distributor. So all of us are connected to him as distributors, independent contractors, whatever the title is, those that can get involved with this thing and become partners. I guess that might be the answer. That's the way they talk about it. Partners and members. You can be a member with LEV AI. You can be a partner for $19 a year. And then you can get the service for $100, or you can get the service for $49 or $99 or $49. Anyway, that's some of the basics. This is not really designed to be a presentation about LEV AI as much as it's about supporting the LEV AI people that have bought in and want to get that moving and going. This was an idea that I realized, having had network marketing experience. People always have questions. Once they get involved, then you have the opportunity to build your team and train your team up into the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding of what it is that you're doing. Whether you get a Telegram group, whether you get a Facebook group, whether you get whatever you may do to rally your people together to say, hey, these are the things that myself as a leader thinks is important that you should know as you get involved with this thing called LEV AI. So that's really what this space is. And obviously, since we're so early in this, and it's such a learning curve for me, man, incorporating all this into my life, you still only have 24 hours a day, but the rest of life keeps on moving. And that's one of the beautiful things to me about AI, artificial intelligence. I call it awesome intelligence. I'll tell you why in just a second. But it allows you to put systems in place. And that's what we do as human beings. We think. We are sentient beings. We think. But we can create entities that have some degree of thinking as well. Non-biological entities that can actually think the way we train them to think. So that's what's exciting to me. Why do I call it awesome intelligence? Because to me, artificial intelligence conjures up, most times when I hear it talked about, it conjures up, oh my God, we're going to lose all of our jobs to AI. We're not going to have any more work. All the all the customer service people, they're going to be gone. All of the people that have the jobs in the community that many people know of, they're not going to be needed anymore. AI is going to take their job. And so therefore, it's like the big bad wolf, the boogeyman called AI. And or they're going to, I guess related to the AI conversation is robotics. And, there's going to be 300 million robots, that are going to take over. And we're going to be at the mercy of them, and they're just going to go rogue, and we're going to be fighting robots. And I guess we get this from these movies, I guess. But I like the idea that awesome intelligence, as awesome human beings, um, in the right hands, can do some phenomenal things. And this is where Andrew and I really have united, because this idea of helping and bringing knowledge and wisdom and understanding to individuals that heretofore haven't been able to have it for a lot of reasons. This is not designed to get into and talk about the reasons why, but it's definitely a fact. A lot of times there's money barriers and a lot of different barriers, and where Andrew and I were talking last night had to do with global, outside of America predominantly, and why it's so exciting that we're going to launch on Monday. Because outside of America, there's certain infrastructure, not everywhere, but definitely some places, good majority of places, I would venture to say, that don't have an infrastructure that has been put in place in America. They don't have that, and so barriers of entry into a lot of things, sometimes money related inside America. But find me a high school student in America, a senior, that doesn't have a cell phone. Probably going to be hard pressed. If you find their parents and they don't have a cell phone, they may be violating some state law or federal law that says you are really abusing your children by not letting them have a cell phone. How can they stay current and have conversation at school and not get bullied and clowned, and if they don't have a cell phone? And better than that, even, it's so serious, you might want to have a new cell phone every year, because they might clown you and bully you if you still got a cell phone you had in the 11th grade and now you're in the 12th grade. Come on, man, that's not cool. That's not acceptable. So all that infrastructure exists in America, but around the rest of the world, maybe not so much. And that's really an exciting thought. That's just one piece of what's happening. Why, when I hear Randy talk, every time I hear him do the presentation, you're listening to a man that understands systems. And that's what we're talking about. Systems in place to help you live your life better. To me, that would be the whole thing about awesome intelligence. And if you aren't using these systems, chances are you're part of this 98 percentile of the American workforce that is using AI but doesn't even know it. No, 93% of the 98% don't even know they're using AI, but they're using it as a part of just doing their job as an employee in America. So there's this idea of 87 percentile that wants to start doing chat GPT and wants to start learning, and they're in this category of wanting to get in front of it. And that's the sweet spot. That's the exciting spot about leveraging AI, because they put some systems together and we're learning the systems, the suite of tools that they have in place. And we're getting paid because it's set up that way as a partner, and you can get paid off of the fact that people are paying this low price of $49 a month or the low price of $100 a month, $99 a month. And because they're paying that, somebody invited them to the table so they could pay that. And whoever invited them to the table is going to get paid every single month that their customer or their co-partner is paying. That's exciting. And to me, that's what we're talking about all day, at least part of all day, every day. So that's where that is. And any thoughts, any questions, Andrew, as we continue this 11 o'clock session at 11:11?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a replay of our session we did at 11 o'clock last night after we answer any questions Lisa Anise has. So Lisa Anise, tell us why you decided to join and what's on your mind about this LEV AI.
Well, you had sent me an invitation. And of course, among many of the things that we're building on the continent of Africa is a translators pool. And though we wish to use AI for the larger, or what I call fixed languages, which most of the European languages are, there are many places around the world where the languages are adaptable or adaptive. American English is one because we have colloquialisms that change every 2 to 3 years depending on what's popular or what people are interested in going on. And of course, in Africa, Swahili is the same, where it is incredibly adaptive. It picks up bits and pieces of the languages that it's surrounded by. But we also wish to use AI for several other purposes, which is, of course, getting polyglots, which is people who know a number of languages, to basically sharpen up their skills in languages they don't teach very often through AI learning. Language preservation, because language is a part of culture and culture is identity. There are a number of languages in the sub-Saharan region that are at risk of completely disappearing. And of course, we can't have that because we get an awful lot of answers to issues that we're seeking, especially now during this period of trying to gather everyone's attention to the issues surrounding global warming. There are also languages that, well, need to be adjusted. And what I mean by that, for generations, the English language has dominated the areas of science, medicine, and the legal languages. And having that redone or reframed so that people from all across the world can practice these professions without having to learn English first. That's another thing that we're looking for AI to do. Now, as LEV AI is starting here in the Western Hemisphere, we're also likely looking at a certain number of indigenous groups where it would become very beneficial in terms of speaking back and forth. And of course, just about every nation in South America, they've got different versions of the Portuguese in Brazil. The Brazilian Portuguese is very different than the Portuguese that you get in like Mozambique. So rather than have everybody constantly trying to wait for AI mainstream to get to these types of languages and the over 1,700 languages that are spoken on the planet today, we'll be wanting to use AI to leverage these skills because it is predicted that in the future, live translation of localized language is going to be an area of work that will be much sought after, not just for diplomatic relations, but for basic human relations.
And if I may jump in, Lisa, when you get a chance, I want to dialogue. I don't want to cut you in the middle of your thought, but I'm looking for a little break there. I do want to dialogue on these points you're making, those two, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, I was pretty much done there. I mean, I could expound for another hour because my business right now is talking all the time. So
now I see why you and Andrew and I are friends. We have that in common. No shortage of thoughts and intention. But let me just jump in because you said something that I know LEV AI addresses, and let me just start it like this and pick up the pieces as we go. Watch this. Moving towards this universal government of peace where we all can live in peace together. I think we all agree that that's where we're headed, one way or another. And so there was an idea prior to now that was very real and still is very real to a lot of people. That English is that universal language, right? However, for reasons you just pointed out, I see AI as being that universal language, and particularly the LEV AI, because you get to train the awesome intelligence, whoever you are. All these ethnic groups in our minds, just picture every ethnic group is now involved with LEV AI. The leader of every ethnic group, the leader of these 17,000 languages, or 1,700 languages, I'm sorry, and more, whatever, all have a membership. Now they're telling and teaching their AI in their language maybe not 1,700, but there's a core group of languages. I'm sure you would agree, because I've heard it on the outside, but it sounds like you live in that lane of linguistics and languages and stuff. But this idea that maybe there's a 10 core languages that all the other languages stem from, one way or another. Or maybe that's not exactly accurate, but you get the general idea. But my point is, now, in whatever language one knows of these 10 languages, these 16 languages, the core languages, whatever, or every little language, you can now train the AI in that language. So now you're representing your own thoughts, and then your thoughts are translated into other thoughts. I learned Japanese in college, got a master's in Japanese, lived in Japan for a couple of years, taught English out there. Just to give you just a little bit of my resume, just so you have a little more reality of what's going on in this brain for the last 56 years. And so I know there's certain thoughts, for example, in Japanese, you'd have to write out at least a sentence to explain that thought. Probably 2 or 3 or 4. Probably kind of explain a whole concept that's summed up in Kaizen or just one word. And that's the way the Japanese situation is. And China is very similar because of the kanji and that. But without getting into that, my point is, now, as we talk about some universal concepts in medicine or this or that, or whatever, some things that have agreed upon. But now there's a certain energy, there's a certain spirit, there's a certain other variable beyond just the mathematics, beyond just the, okay, cut them open right here, pull that out, put that open, whatever, just on a very cold level of understanding. But now, in my mind, there's a first going on of the ability to infuse into your conversation as you're dealing with everybody around the world, Bill Gates or whoever you deal with in Africa or around the world. But now you're not so much just at the mercy of whatever they're coming in saying, and you just have to bow down to it. But now you get to infuse in, hey, as you bump into us, how you doing? This is what we're doing. And we've translated into other languages, and there's an agreement around here at this thing called Earth, that this is how we're going to do this. And we're not compromising on certain things. That I see, and I can understand why that would be scary to some, but extremely exciting to others that can say, no, we don't need you to translate it. We bring it to you. And then AI or whatever can translate it so you can try to understand what we're already doing and going to keep doing. That right there is, to me, revolutionary.
Oh, yes, no, and I agree. And the point that you made about the Japanese language, you also have the Cyrillic languages where you take one word and depending on the prefix or suffix that you add, and of course you add again and again and again, you can actually have one word make up an entire sentence. Hungarian's a fine example. The issue that we have at this point with the development of AI is the localization factor or colloquialisms that certain communities or areas actually have to understand each other. And when we're dealing in diplomacy, which of course is part of my job because I work with UNESCO, this becomes incredibly important in making those agreements for peace and understanding, which is what the live translator will be dealing with up until the time that AI learns enough to be able to make those adaptations. I don't know how that's going to happen,
Well,
but
let me jump in on that. How AI is going to learn those limited, it's going to come right down to the individuals that are using it get the ability in LEV AI in particular, and probably could do it anyway, but for sure. And that's what our trainings that I've been a part of yesterday and the day before, 2 of them, and today will be a third. In our back office right now with LEV AI, you can go in and you start to train you train the LEV AI you. I have a LEV AI Reamus that I'm training my culture, what I like, the music. Every bit of that is factoring into now when I'd say, okay, I want to make a post for whatever business I might want to work. But it's operating as me, with a lot of variables, and I can say, no, you left something out, or I can come back in. If you catch what I'm saying, it's by training it, a million people training the AI how they are, their own chat GPT, if you will, their own. I mean, truth is truth. You can't just, it's not going to just start lying. But the point is, and I know this from the law. I studied law, was really close to being a lawyer, but took the LSAT and all that good stuff. But the point is, in law, they have a thing that says, objection, Your Honor, leading the witness. You're familiar with that, I'm sure. And
Oh,
you,
absolutely.
so now I can walk you right into, so why was it that you did kill your mother? And you're like, wait a minute, I never said that. My mother's dead, but well, weren't you at home? And yeah, well, weren't you? And you can walk someone and it's like, well, duh, there it is. You killed your mama. And that is to me part of the issue. And hopefully it's making sense to you why I'm using that as an analogy in
Mhm.
this conversation, because until the individuals can say, hold up, before I start answering your questions, know who I am, know where I'm coming from, know where
Yep.
this is, because I'm not even in agreement with you with the starting point of our conversation, and you're coming at me a certain way. And this has happened through colonialism across
Yes.
this planet. It's now you're forcing indigenous people to talk in terms of some other people that, like, we don't, that's not even a concept. We're having to agree to do some stuff, forced to now talk about it. And but meanwhile, in our DNA and our culture, we're trying to get this part in the conversation that keeps getting squashed, and you're wondering why there's a problem. And that is very much my point about, until the intelligences of all these beings can train up the intelligence the way they operate.
Mhm.
In my mind, watch how that gets agreement in a way that we haven't seen yet, and that immediately shift the whole conversation, because now those underlying undercurrent assumptions and prejudgments and all that is no longer part of the conversation.
Yeah.
That is the freshness that I see coming down the pike.
No, I agree. And it's one of those ways that we will be able to get that colloquialization or localization of languages in, which is essential for building up trust with peoples that you're speaking with on those local levels. Of course, when you're working on larger levels, like talking to 2, 3,000, 4,000, 20,000 people at a time online, that is where the what I call the rigid languages do best
Well, let me say
because
this. Let me on that note, would you not agree that how one comes into the conversation matters? Like
absolutely.
the heart, the what you bring to the table matters. So in that sense, if I was speaking in front of 10,000, 2,000, 3,000, whatever number of people, and they had all very, very diverse backgrounds, and I want to have this way to just talk where everybody gets it, that might be a bit of an unrealistic expectation or a goal on my part, because I can't control how you're hearing. I can't
Yeah.
control really not even hearing, but how you're feeling. That
Yes.
feeling, I know, changes and colors the understanding of what's being
Yes.
said. And if my goal is to get everybody to think and feel the same way, I would say your goal, Remus, is you're going to be very frustrated,
Hmm.
because if you haven't accepted that, look, you can't control how someone else feels about it. In fact, it's very real to me that as brand new, fresh, exciting new worlds are being built, other people are scared to death, because to them that's a dying of what they've been knowing their whole life and generations and millennia. So
Hmm.
that's a scary thought. Like, they're not going to embrace the idea that, oh, great, what you're talking about is going to make me extinct in my thinking.
Hmm.
That's to me something worth talking about as well.
Well, and of course, as a minister of culture, that's an essential because culture is identity. And if you see that identity going away from the language first, then what occurs is that little internal revolution. Maybe I don't want to do this. So this is where um, the live language or localizations come in. We want to inspire that trust. So by putting together this system where AI is used for renewal of languages once lost, which is important for a number of reasons that would take me the hour to explain, um, but also to instill trust in the people that you're talking to. So by looking for those responses, we're looking at how do we cause the two to blend together to make the best use of them right now, while the rest is coming together and coming into process,
Well,
where we can get more languages.
let me start with this thought about a grandmother. Let's picture a grandmother. I can think of many right now that they're holding on to a certain culture. Just here in LA, in North America, a certain tribe, a
Mhm.
certain way of being that the children and the grandchildren just aren't embracing it like that. You could probably picture that. That's probably real, I'd imagine, all over the planet. the newer generations aren't embracing some of the older ways, and they kind of see it and have certain holidays every year or
Mhm.
whatever. But I'm thinking if that grandmother, that grandfather, that uncle, that group of that percentage of the family are still trying to hold on to that culture, when they get their hands on LEV and they begin to talk and it gets translated into a way where they can say, okay, yeah, that's pretty close. Yeah, it's translated to another language or whatever. They're not having to learn every other language. They can speak every other language through AI, looking like they're speaking, as the AI is now wrestling with pulling all the depth of understandings to be able to articulate it in a way that they would be hard pressed to try to explain that in French, what they're talking about for a native tribe in California here somewhere. And but AI would do a pretty good job, I promise you, of getting a lot closer than that individual would ever get if they just bumped into some people from France or from who knows where. Some people speaking Swahili or doesn't matter, Japanese. But you see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going? Well, now there's a certain kind of nodding of the head, like, okay, that's much closer to, or at least they're representing where they are, and others I think can then embrace it and understand it a lot better
Mhm.
and can extract what they need to from it, whoever you are around the planet. For me, if I'm over in other countries and whatnot, I can do what I've done when I went to 10 countries already, Kenya and South Africa and many other places. I can do my best to try to fit in and to try to adapt and to adjust and to understand this is how they operate. I'm in Rome,
Mhm.
so I got to do as these Romans are doing right now. And I have
Yeah.
to, it's on me. So yeah, I think that's a good conversation.
Well, no, and well, and I agree. But when it comes down to language preservation, you've got your groups that, well, they use a variety of sounds like clicking and popping of the tongue, which, and those groups, they may be small, but they still exist. And this is something that, as those elders get older and feel misunderstood, we can use or train AI to have them feel like, okay, here am I. But it's something that takes time.
Wow.
And of course, 150 languages that are very structured, very set, like the European languages. They're all very set.
Yeah.
Um, uh, to a certain extent, they're what everything centers on, and that's the way it's been
Yeah.
in the colonial era.
Yeah.
But
No doubt. That's a fact.
yeah, a complete fact. And
Yeah.
so, what
Yeah.
happens when we get into those new areas where adaptations have to occur? How quickly does that really happen? And as that timetable does pull itself out, what do we do about the people we really need to get information from? The ones who have thousands of years of knowledge of the land, of the water, of the air, and what real impact they have. And of course, we're talking global compact.
Now, Lisa, what gives me great comfort is the idea that the youth, the 5-year-old, the 10-year-old, that they're obviously not as entrenched as the grandmother, the grandfather, right?
Of course.
Just and so as they begin to use AI, and of course they're going to always have a DNA kind of connection to, and even comes out in their speech or different things because it's been grooved in for hundreds, thousands of years, if not more. And so in certain people, right? So what I'm excited about is they still have love for their aunties and uncles, and they're 5 or 10 or 15 or 20, and they're doing their thing, and they're able to win better in life. They're able to understand these subtleties, and then they're gonna, in my mind, what very much a spark of hope and all that good stuff is that they will be the ones that will be able to say, hey, no, look, this is why that, like you said, the tongues and the clicking and that means something. If that happens at this point in the conversation, there's a whole paragraph about why that happened right there, or you know what I'm saying. But there's a whole,
Mhm.
they'll be the ones that can then bring forward mama, grandmama, great grandmama, and them, so to speak.
Well,
And
and that's a part of the goal here is working for the language preservation, which is, well, it's identity, and it's one that we definitely, if we want world peace, we cannot leave that behind. We have to learn from it and the adaptations and the lessons that it's taught, because those lessons were taught for a reason. And if we don't learn from those lessons, well, you already know the saying, we're doomed to repeat those issues.
yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, and it's exciting because yeah, heretofore, you've seen it whether it be English or French or some of these primary European languages, but I call them primary. But I don't know, again, like you know, there's many
Well,
different ones.
I call them fixed and rigid. So
Fixed and rigid. But those fixed and rigids, obviously, I look at it from a divine place that didn't happen by accident. There's a big cause going on there. There's a big divineness about this unifying this whole thing. That's what I see.
Mhm.
So now, opposed to having to learn English and to get that route done, now that becomes less of a necessity as we're watching, and even the dollar and the cryptos in the conversation, and it's becoming now like, okay, extract all the best and the good, and there's a lot. I mean, European countries have a lot to offer to African countries, and vice versa. There's so much. There's no mistakes been going on here. So, but to allow that indigenousness to live. Allow that, and then of course at the same time incorporate it. It has to be able to move around the planet and realize that everybody's not doing things the way it does it, wherever it's from. So
Mhm.
there's that element that's happening. But the main thing is at least you can be who you are. You can be what you are when the planet realizes, okay, that's not a bad thing. That's good. That's not a harmful thing that you're that way. And there's a lot of reason and understanding why. And I think what I love about the global concept period is you see the common theme. You see parents, you see mothers, you see fathers, you see children, you see families. People probably across the board want to see their children have a better life than they had, or at least as good a life, or they want to pass down what they believe is good, what they know is good,
Mhm.
and what's been working. And when they can't do that, it creates a real tension. Because in their mind, hold on, my child needs this, and they're not having it. They're not going to be able to weather some storms. They're not going
Yeah.
to have the thing that in that group of people's minds is like necessary, is essential.
Rep, yeah. Repetition of mistakes past.
Yeah. So all of this, now overnight, tomorrow, by next week, is all this going to be done? Of course not. And that's why, again, Lev, AI, and Randy to me are very important. The discipline necessary to realize incremental steps, especially to a 5-year-old, 10-year-old, and we all are young in our own way, and we all, is a step, especially if that incremental step is happening simultaneously across the planet. This AI drive is not going away. This idea of putting systems in place with AI, that concept is here to stay. And who's running it? Who's creating it? And I get excited about you have the ability to create your own AI. You have your ability to create your own best self. Best practices is a part of this awesome intelligence. It's the best practices of whatever that means to you, the best minds that you appreciate. Tell your AI about them and those minds so it can think from that point of view.
Mhm.
And that is going to color it. So now you'll have a lot of different types and variations and nuances of the AI. And it's going to really come down to, even whether it's said or not, but like, who created that AI? That's going to be big. What mind is like? I promise you, my AI is getting to know me, and I, when I need a little more fine tuning, or that's not really what I wanted, I can tell it, and it can really, it's learning. I'm teaching it to learn, and I'll know I have enough to understand if it's where I'm coming from or not. And that's my job, to keep on training that child called AI.
Oh well,
That's go
certainly.
ahead. Go ahead.
I did the same thing with Grok and got myself in trouble. I had a 3-hour conversation on culture and cultural education and its importance. And when Elon found out, well, uh,
You
he suspended my account.
see, here's the thing: you didn't realize you were having a 3-hour conversation with Elon, not Grok. It's the father of Grok that made Grok.
Essentially, yes.
You see what I'm saying? So that thing, that little conversation we just had in the last 30 seconds is a part of the conversations moving forward. That there is that ability, because when it first comes out, it's like, oh, okay, wow, it knows this. I can answer every question about some basics about life and how big the planet is, or whatever, and it has all the answers because it's been poured in with that. But the
Mhm.
nuanced understanding of culture and, oh man, like relationship to a higher power or whatever. Man, that's
Well,
I wouldn't put all
when it
my eggs
happened,
in Elon's
no,
basket that he knows that. But go ahead.
well, no, I mean, at the very end, what I was getting was Grok giving out affirmations to everything that I was saying and talking about how important it would be to, yes, actually have what it is I'm after. That's what kind of got his goat, I think.
Wait a minute, you done tricked Grok to be on your side? Like you done recruited them?
Well, that's why I'm the global outreach director. I've got training in those
I'm
types
glad
of
you
things.
showed up. I'm glad you're on the team. I love it.
Well, the great news for you, Lisa, on these is that uh, unlike Chat GPT, which is, as you know, generic, it's only limited to the information that's available online, generically.
Yeah.
As I understand it, as we go forward with this LEV AI uh, component, we'll be able to upload your own personal content and work
Mhm.
that you yourself have either produced or you want to create your own universe of content. So every time you do a search now, it includes your own personalized input and your own personalized intended output. So to me, that's going to be very, very different than what we've seen so far.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I've
Oh,
walked into many conversations in my lifetime where the presumptions, the pre-assumed understandings, I'm not in agreement with, and therefore I'm able to do things that those that have that agreement of no, this is just how we do it in this neighborhood, and it's I don't have any agreement with that at all.
yeah,
I, I, and so
that's the
that's in
localization.
some senses that's dangerous because no social group likes the idea that somebody's coming in and they're not going into agreement with business as usual. Well,
Yeah.
too many times where I come from, business as usual is you about to end up dead. You're going to jail. It's going to be some drama. The police are coming. So I'm not going into agreement with what I know is not working. And I stand on that. And I know many people that live on that. That it doesn't mean, hey, I'm out to kill you, but I guarantee you, there's a defense element. Like, hold on, and that to me is what I see solidifying. Like, because when you go into agreement with a lie or some nonsense or an aberrated thing, it's gonna bump into the larger communities and other communities outside. They're not on that page. So what
Mhm.
happens when your whole reticular activated system is designed to do corrupt, crazy stuff, and you don't even see that. But that's your norm. That's your social way of. Well, I don't know if you're going to export that and get everybody around the world to agree to that. Is
Mhm.
my plea to those. But hey, if you think it's going to work, I wish you the best. But I believe when you leave this country or this zip code or this county, the application of how you get down won't work. But
Yeah.
prove me wrong if you think you can. It's kind of my thought. So that's kind of so to me, those that are winning, success leaves a trail behind it. Sometimes it's just more dominant, and I just ran through you. Okay, it looks like that's winning, but there's also a way to be, as some of the great wise ones that have been on this planet and still are, that there's a way you can be where you don't have to change up. You can just be that way wherever you are.
Yeah.
Like this sun that's shining, it doesn't say, okay, well, they're gonna shine different on you because you're on this part of the planet. It's the same, it's the same sun. And so,
Mhm.
and that's a refreshing thing. I think it was Leonardo, not Da Vinci, but it was somebody I read up on in college days, way back when, where this idea that you can be that way all the time. No matter what field you're in, you could still bring a certain ethic, a reality about you. Because if not, to try to figure out how to change, you just can't be three or four or five or 10 or 100 different people.
Yeah.
At some point, you just got to be able to be what they say, harmless as a dove and wise as a serpent, so to speak. That's easy to say, but walk that into reality. I want to see that. And I think we'll get a chance to see that as we move forward. So, my
Well,
thought.
speaking of seeing,
Go
can you
ahead,
see my
Andy.
screen with
Yes. You
can
see
you
it?
see my screen with Medium on it or not?
Yes.
Yes. Op-ed
Okay,
at
so
Victoria. Yep.
uh so yeah, so this is a series I began a couple of weeks ago, at least on these on Medium. And after our conversation today, I know you have to leave pretty soon for the Hip Hop Congress. But last night, we had a chance to actually go through many of these articles. And so what I'll be doing is just replaying what we went through last night. But many of the topics that we're talking about here, I think they have a wider audience than just, those people interested in chat and Lev AI. but I do want to say that it's important that we understand that everything that we're doing now has a chance to reach a much wider audience, because eventually we'll be able to translate this into all those other languages as well. So it won't be just the people in the United States and England and Europe that understand what we're saying. Now the people we're talking about who don't understand what we're saying can be brought into this conversation about how we go forward together. I think that's very important as we think about how this is going to evolve going down the road.
I agree. It's an adventure, no matter which way you look at it.
Yeah, and I'll just bring it all the way back to getting other people to just come see, learn more about it, like we're doing in his room, but in the other presentations that we have, and ultimately grab it, finding those individuals that are willing to grab it, play with it, and do some things with it, and have those testimonies. I think it's going to come down to that traction. As people like testimonies. They like, how's it working for you? And that's where we're brand new. And in order to walk it into existence, because outside of LEV AI is not going to stop. People are putting systems in place and doing things. And what I love about LEV AI, at the base of it, is saying, let's let everybody know. Let's try to get, I think Randy said his goal. I like his goal, because if he reaches his goal, he'll have 16 million customers.
Mhm.
Now, if that just means that's 16 million businesses or people, individuals doing 49 or 99, yeah, he's gonna make his own money off of that. But more exciting for me is that's 16 million people that are playing with this thing and using it to benefit themselves, because that's the whole culture, is develop it and create the world you want to see, in essence. So cool. If that's what it takes to incentivize, hey, you get 50% of the first time someone signs up, and if that's what it takes to get 16 million just himself, I said, well, if he can do 16, he doesn't even have himself as a person to lean on. I get to lean on him, so I can probably do 19 million. I'm sure. So, so anyway, but it's a game. Life is, to me, in a good way, it's a game, and there's rules, and you don't want to foul out. You don't want to go across the borderlines, and you have to know that there are rules to this thing, though.
Well,
And
there's one rule.
go ahead.
There's one rule I'd like to share with our audience right now, and it's something you brought up, Reamus. You mentioned that a couple of days ago. You had someone that even after the period when we thought you could no longer sign up free, that you actually found someone that registered. They showed up in your back office.
Yes, and I want to
That
test that
that
out with
that just that just
Lisa.
happened to me.
Oh, it did. Okay.
I just did a test.
Oh,
So I suggest that we go full throated as long as we can to populate that back office, because even for those that don't pay now, because they're in our back office, when they do pay, or if they do pay, or bring someone else that does pay, then they'll get paid and we'll get paid.
and let me elaborate some part of the compensation plan that people don't know about, but then you can move them around, because we're going to build. If you want to get to the top of the compensation plan, you got to have 5 legs. You might bring in 500 people, but you only need 5 legs to maximize the compensation plan. So those that know will be moving people around. They bring in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people, 100 people, and they're going to move them and structure them underneath 5 top people, quote unquote. And then each of those 5 will have, and they can just place them in there. So somebody in theory could have signed up today, yesterday, tomorrow, next week. They get in there, signed up, meaning they just put their name and email and phone number, whatever, that the basic part. They don't put any money up, but the system now knows, an Andrew system or my system, I see them. And they're there, and they got placed under somebody, and now they got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people that are really paying and making money and doing it, that are connected to them. Now, I know it'll come down to, well, you haven't put any money in, so you can't reap any financial benefit. But if ever you say, you know what, let me put this little 100 in, let me become a partner, pay the 19, all of those floodgates now open up to you, and that's part of your volume. And now you just have to enroll your own 2 people, but that volume is connected to you. You got 20,000 in that leg, 20,000 in volume in that leg. You got 20,000 in each of these 5 legs. You maximize the comp plan, but guess what? You have to also enroll 5 people. And you haven't enrolled anybody. You have
No,
to
I have.
enroll 1. So you're very incentivized now, because you got in early, and it's set up to where, depending on who brought you in, where they place you, you could very easily have a lot of people connected to you. And you and many people may not be doing anything, but the ones that are doing something is all that matters. The volume of the business dollars that algorithm has no emotion on it. All it knows is you're in that train, in that chain, you're in that tree, you're in that lineage, you got that volume, it's connected to you. It's going to
Mhm.
pay out if you've done your basic parts. So you
Yeah.
go ahead and do them basic parts. And now, because you did get in early, there is a first mover advantage to this thing for sure. Um, and the owners are anticipating at least millions of people out of these billions are going to
Mhm.
see some value in Lev AI, and they're going to keep evolving it and adding new things, which is what intelligent people do, artificial intelligence or otherwise. It's going to keep what does the community of AI like? What are accepted practices? What do people really, how are they really, really wanting to use it? And that's really our job now. I've taken on my shoulders, and Andrew, to figure that out. What a lot of people don't even use Chat GPT right now. Like, let
Well,
me be the first one to help you ever ask Chat GPT a question. Period.
well,
Right.
one thing is very important. As I understand this correctly, the all I did was I went and I registered a test email. I have multiple emails. But I was issued a number, and if I'm believing correctly, that number will allow me to register people under that number and build contacts. Lisa Anise, you have a number because you're
Mhm.
already registered. You
Yeah.
could technically register everybody in UnityNet around the world under your number right now while you have the chance. And at
But
any point that anyone pays, somebody gets paid.
and let me be transparent and help everybody that's listening to this in the future. Andrew has a number of people that have enrolled, and they're
Yeah.
all basically front level to each other. No, they're all front level to him. When he understands what I was telling you a minute ago, he's going to start putting some of these people under other people. Then he can call Lisa and say, hey, by the way, Lisa, you have this doctor so and so that's under your team, and they're really running. And just so you know, you've got, they have whatever. They've got 10, 15, 20 people, and those people are running. They've connected this and that already, and they've got a lot of volume underneath there. But if you ever decide to use the services, and meaning pay 49 or become a partner, just know you've got a lot to lose. You don't even recognize it because you never benefited from it. You don't know,
Mhm.
but just understand that he can be 100% in integrity and say, look, you have this there for you now. I've given you this gift. What you do with it, I don't know. You gave it to
Yeah.
yourself because you trusted me. You got in, and so if you ever decide to take a closer look and really get in and start kicking the tires of it, you have all that benefit. And because if not, it's almost like I've been around network marketing. It's almost like all of those seeds will die on the vine because there's not enough synergism. There's not
Yeah.
enough collective idea. The computer will know Andrew brought in 1,000 people. It will know
Yeah.
that, no problem. But it's not a certain traction because it's not really connected a certain way. None of
Yeah.
them are vested in each other. They all know Andrew, but okay, great. I'm excited for Lisa, but that's not helping me in my plate. But if she is part of my team, oh, I'm praying for her a little different now. I
Uh-huh.
want her to really win because if she wins and gets 5,000 in volume, that's part of my. I'm incentivized to do what I should have been doing anyway, but now I can focus my attention with just a few and benefit a whole lot.
Yeah.
So,
There's that.
so all I'm suggesting, Lisa Anise, is that get a copy of your registration link and invite people to take a look at the video. And if they like it, then sign up. At this point, it didn't cost me anything, and I'm really, honestly, I'm unable to go full throated in my promotion until I have my own AI twin. But that might be 10 days down the road. But once I
Mhm.
do that, then I know I'll let my twin do the promotion. But in the meantime, I was able, as soon as I paid the 99 bucks, I was able to set up my first website online in 15 minutes. It does take customization, but I then set up another website. One deals with LEV AI, one deals with my public speaking. But I know in Africa, for example, many of the non-governmental organizations, they just don't have the capacity to even do a Facebook site or any site. But this, because it's powered by LEV AI, the server is over here. It's not over there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cost them anything to make unlimited. websites. That's what I'm hoping the remittance plan. Anyone here in the Canada or the United States that is paying remittances to anyone in Africa, I believe, should take the step and make sure that that person in Africa becomes a member, a partner of LEV AI.
Yes.
And then the person here in the United States, when they sign up with that person, will generate American dollars for them in that country. That's a whole lot different than, of course, as you know, generating their currency in their money. But as you go forward, the idea, Lisa Anise, is to then think about ways we could support our non-governmental organizations. The idea,
Yes.
again,
Go
is
ahead.
that
Go ahead.
one person that's head of a non-governmental organization can set up a website for each of the people in his NGO that have a department. You might have one person that's focusing on women's issues, another on child issues, on all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals.
Mhm.
These are the kind of things that LEV AI is not thinking about. It doesn't care about it. All they want is
Yes.
more people in. So that's why I need you and people like you to think outside of the box enough to figure out how this can benefit what you're doing. So in your meeting in 10 minutes with the Hip Hop Congress, I suggest you share your link because then all of them will come under your umbrella. So that if DeFranco decides he wants to pop in, that can benefit you immediately and down the road. But
Yeah.
otherwise, if he comes in through me, then it won't benefit you at all. So I intentionally encourage you to get involved for this very reason. I need you to head up all the hip hop people around the world.
Let me say this, though. Let me tell you how the power of one. Let me say this to you, Lisa, real quick. Because I got my website a day in front of Andrew, and I promise you, if he didn't have this little hiccup with the $19 issue and they worked it out in the back office and all that good stuff, no, I was able to talk to Blake, who's our CEO. That's huge because he set up businesses in Israel and different things and did a lot of stuff and some other networking. The connectivity, here's where I know when I get Randy to meet Lisa, because Andrew, he bragged on me yesterday on a live presentation across his 40,000 people, whatever. He mentioned Reamus because I'm able to talk to him. I was communicating with him about some other stuff, helping Andrew out, some other people out, helping myself out, and just dealing with some little technicalities that came up the first day we launched. And because I'm connected to Michael Dalco got me in touch with Randy, and Randy had me on the phone with his son, texting wise with Blake. Why is that relevant to this conversation? Because a lot of times it's a matter of being connected to the top in life, and we're early. And I know he bragged on me because I told him that I put a website up, and I'm sure he checked it because I gave him all my information. He has it anyway. He's connected to the CEO and everybody. But so he looked and he saw, and now he's sitting there telling everybody in the presentation last night. Well, this guy Reamus I talked to, he got his own website set up already, and now Andrew's got his. That's the power of one. Now there's two. Because I told that to Andrew. Andrew now uses, like, everybody knows about it who's involved, but Andrew's serious. He did it now. He's created 2 websites. I need to go create another. I've got 2 or 3 other businesses right now. I can just populate with some basics and flesh it out to the degree I want to and really make it how I want it to really be. But the fact that I can do it and I did it. Now here's the point. So when you have one, let's just say, for example, it doesn't have to be all the way pimped out like you really, really want it. But the point I'm saying, or it can be, but the point I'm saying is that functional ability. Now there's 4 people. If Andrew does another, somebody else does that. Now Randy's over here bragging on, wow, now Reamus has affected Andrew with this good problem, good thing, good issue. It put this into him and it's duplicating now, like a bacteria in a good way. It's duplicating now. And so now that turns into 4 pretty soon. It turns into 8. It turns into 16. Everybody's getting one more person that every day, for example. That thing will take on a certain life, and they'll start to become a thing that you just can't go somewhere $100 and get all of that and everything else that you get. That will start to become normal. And I know when that starts to happen, we're going to see so much traction in a good way and see the results that we all want, because now everyone's empowered to actually make the difference that we all want. Collectively, it's so much more powerful now. Now, these NGOs and all these other great entities that you guys know very well, and even in the hip hop community or whatever, like it's the validation of someone else. Putting your link is one thing. They may or may not, but to say I'm working closely with Andrew, that moves the crowd different. And there's a link. I need you to come take a look at this presentation and get some more data. If they have a link and they sign up, they're still going to need more data. They're going to need more of this conversation. They're going to need more with their own questions and their babies of yours at that point, so to speak, grandchildren, great grandchildren, as it continues to duplicate. And that's where now they're plugging in. I can't go help people I love in Chicago right now, but I sure can plug them in so they can have some systems in place that'll help them. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I want them to get the help. If I can't be there to hold their hand and do it, the next best thing is let me help you put some systems in place that'll support you so I don't have to feel the pain of watching you go through life and not have enough to make it happen. So anyway, just want to share that.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me in today. I truly appreciate it, and I'm going to go and grab that link right now and have it with me when I walk in. So
You're the
thank
best.
you.
I can't wait to introduce you to Randy. He's a good guy. He'll like you.
That'll be good. All right.
Take
All right,
care.
love you so much.
And-
Thank you.
All right.
God bless you.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right. So Brother Reamus,
Yes.
I'm going to two things. One, I'm going to share my screen back with the LEV AI where we started to let people know that they can still register right now and pre-enroll.
And don't have to put any money up necessarily. I have to say that the right way because I don't want to say, hey, Reamus said LEV AI, you don't have to put no money up ever. I didn't say that.
you can pre-enroll and then be able to allow us to position you in our network before you have to pay a penny. And so now's the time, Reamus, I'm going to go back to doing my hard rush to get people to pre-enroll to get them at least registered in. So
Yes.
that's my task right now.
All right, I love it, man. Let's do it. I'll let you get out your way. And I appreciate this call. It's been a great one.
All
Okay,
right.
I'm going to wrap it up. Have a wonderful day,
Thank
brother.
you.
Thanks a
All
lot. You
right.
too. Take care, Lisa.
Thanks, Andrew. Bye-bye.